Your voice, your opinion, your community. Fact TV, free speech protected.
Let's see, if I took out that window and put in a sliding glass door, that would give me more lighting. And I could always move those cabinets and paint the walls a brighter shade. Oh, it's not a very big house. It's not as big and beautiful as some, but you know, it's home. It's good for me. Just as long as all those critters stay out. Why, my goodness, if I see a little mouse run across the floor, I might just climb up on my table and scream. And oh, hello there. Welcome to Grandma Kitty's house, and I'm Grandma Kitty, of course. I was just looking at my house and trying to figure out how I could improve it. It's not very big, and it's not as beautiful as some homes, but you know, it's comfortable, and it's my space, and so you know, it's good. It's good for me. Oh, you know, that reminds me of a story about a little boy who was trying to find his own space. Let's see here. Oh, here it is, here it is. This is a good book. You'll like this one. This is called A Place for Ben, and it was written by Jean Titherington. So let's read that together, shall we? All right, and she dedicated it to her brothers. Ezra's crib was moved into Ben's room. Ben didn't feel as if he had a place of his own anymore. Wherever Ben turned, there was Ezra. There's his little brother. He wants to play dinosaur with him. Ben decided that he had to find a place where he could be alone. He looked all over the house, in the attic and in the basement. Finally, he found the perfect place, the back corner of the garage behind his father's car. Ben got everything he needed: a stool to sit on, a box of cereal to eat, and his favorite toys. Then he made a sign with a big red X on it. It meant private Ben's place. Sounds like he found his own space, didn't he? Everything was ready, but still something wasn't right. There's Ben with all his things, but something's missing. What do you think is missing? Ben tried to coax Mew Mew, his cat, to stay with him, but she was happy right where she was. She didn't want to come join Ben. Ben got his dog, Allie, but Allie was only interested in Ben's box of cereal. That sounds like a dog, huh? They just like to eat. Ben asked his mother to come and visit him, but she was too busy. What do you think is missing from Ben's space? He couldn't ask his father because his father was asleep. What will Ben do? Ben sat down on the front steps. Maybe someone would come by who would want to visit him. And finally, someone did. Do you see who it is? It's his baby brother. Look, and there they are playing dinosaurs together. Isn't that funny? He wanted his own space, but then when he had his own space, he found out he was lonely without his brother. Isn't that a cute story? I like that. So I thought we could talk for a few minutes about siblings. Do you know what siblings are? Brothers and sisters. So, there are pros and cons to having brothers and sisters. Pros are good, cons are bad. So I like to be positive. So let's start with the good things about having brothers and sisters. When you want someone to play with and you have brothers and sisters, well, you've got someone to play with. It's kind of hard to play ball alone, isn't it? You kick the ball and there's nobody to kick it back, or you throw the ball and you have to go fetch it yourself, right? But if you have brothers and sisters, you always have someone to play with, right? And if you want to go someplace like to the playground or the movies or fishing or swimming, when you have brothers and sisters, you've got someone who will go with you. You don't have to go alone. You know, when I got older, I really missed my siblings. When my sisters started moving out, I had a hard time getting used to going to the store by myself. I was used to having someone to do things with. And, oh, here's another one. At night when it's dark and you wake up and you look over, you see your brother or your sister in the bed across the room, and you know that you're not alone. And that's very reassuring, isn't it? And how about the chores? You don't have to do all the chores by yourself when you have brothers and sisters. You can do teamwork and they can help you out. That's a good thing, huh? And then as adults, you know, they might become your best friends. My brother and sisters, they're my best friends now. When I have a problem, I send them a text message, oh, Grandma Kitty needs help. What do you think about this? And they'll write back to me, and oh, they're my best friends now. So your brother and sister might become your best friend when you get older. And then, you know, when your parents are gone, then you'll find you're not alone. You'll have a brother and a sister there too, so you'll still have family. So let's talk about the con, which means the not so good stuff. They get into your things, don't they? Yes, they always think that your toys and your clothes are better than theirs, and they get into your stuff, right? And when they get into their stuff, they might break your toys, or they might lose your favorite thing to play with, right? That's kind of annoying, isn't it? And older siblings, they can be bossy, and younger siblings, they follow you around and tag along and drive you nuts, right? And they might make a mess of your room, and they might blame you too. They might say, he did it, when it really wasn't you, right? Yeah, but oh, and here's a big one, jealousy. Do you ever get jealous of your brothers and sisters and think that your parents love them more than they love you? Well, you know, here's the thing. Your parents worked just as hard to have you as they did your brother or sister. It takes 9 months to have a baby, and it's really a lot harder for your mother than your father because she has to go through all the work of having the baby. But they worked 9 months to have you just like they worked 9 months to have your brother or your sister. And so they put just as much time and effort into you. You didn't know it was work to have babies and raise kids? Oh, yes. Oh, it is definitely work. It is a lot of work for mom and dad, yeah. But they put just as much work into you as they do your brothers or sisters, so you don't need to be jealous. No, you don't need to be jealous at all. So, all right, so I thought that we could talk about places that people call home. So how about a house? Some people live in houses. A house might be in a neighborhood. You know, and neighborhoods are great because you can go for a walk around your neighborhood or ride your bike around your neighborhood. And some houses are single family, which means that just your family lives there. And some houses are multi-family, which means that there's apartments in there and there's several families that live in the same house. But the nice thing about having a house is that it usually has a yard to play in. We had a big yard when I was growing up, and it was always full of kids, and they weren't always my siblings either. All the kids from around the neighborhood came to play in our yard because we had such a nice yard. But all right, look at the city here. Isn't that a very busy picture? Did you know why? Because cities are very, very busy places. They have lots of skyscrapers and buildings and lots of cars and trains and buses and subways and of course a lot of people. Very busy, very noisy. What's that? Why would anyone want to go to the city if they're so busy and noisy? Oh. Well, my goodness, because there's a lot of things to do in the city. My goodness, there's museums and there's aquariums and libraries and parks and gardens and shops and restaurants. Oh my goodness, there's always something going on in the city. It's just such a fun place to be. I took my son, my husband and I, we took our son to the city when he was only 4, his first trip to the city, and he saw all those things, the subway, the skyscrapers, and the boats in the harbors, and we went to see a parade, and they had horses and police cars and fire trucks and bands. And a couple of days later, he was telling his friend, I went to the city, and guess what I saw? Do you know what he remembered the most about the city? He said the horse went poop in the middle of the road. Oh my goodness, that was what he remembered the most. He could have seen that right at home. Oh, kids, you just never know what they'll say. How about boats? This is a sailboat here. Did you know people can live on boats? They can live on sailboats. If you were in the Navy, you might live on a battleship or in a submarine. If you were on a cruise boat, you might live as a crew member. You could live on a cruise boat for months. I think that would be fun to live on a cruise ship, and they're on there for months at a time. Now there are houseboats and there's private yachts, and oh my goodness, they have kitchens and bedrooms and and nice living quarters. I mean, very comfortable to live on a boat. And once you get out in the middle of the ocean and it's just you and the water, it's very easy to just sit back and relax. I mean, what else can you do out there in the middle of the ocean? Just sit back and relax, unless, of course, it's rough. And if the water gets rough, you might get a little seasick. And my sister, we took her on a cruise one time and she turned green, poor girl. Not literally green, just kind of a grayish color because she was sick to her stomach. But as long as there's no storms coming in, there's not a lot of waves, boats could be a lot of fun to live on. And you can take them anywhere that there's water. They're not tied down like houses and skyscrapers. Did you get that little pun there? When you go into a harbor with a boat, you tie it down, right? So Grandma Kitty had a little play on words. Isn't she silly? All right, how about an igloo? Would you like to live in an igloo? It doesn't look very warm, does it? Igloo means snow house or snow hut, and that's what hunters would use for temporary shelters when they were away from home. Now, it looks cold, but you know, they really can be quite comfortable. You pack the snow around, and the snow acts as insulation. Insulation, that's what's in the wall of your house to keep the cold air from coming in. And so it shelters you from the cold wind, and then you can actually build a fire in an igloo, and between the fire and your body heat and the nice warm blankets, you can actually stay quite comfortable in there. Did you know that there's an ice hotel in North America? It's up in Quebec, and it's called Hotel de Glace. Now, it's spelled G-L-A-C-E, but it's pronounced Glace. Hotel de Glace. It's made from ice, and you can actually sleep in it. It's got suites and rooms that you can rent, and a great hall and a chapel and an ice slide and a spa and a sauna. And it's open from January through March, and of course then it gets too warm and it starts to melt. But you'll have to check that out online because it's really very beautiful. All right, and then we have campers. Campers are a lot like a boat. They're not stuck in one place. You can take them from place to place, except a boat, of course, is on water, and a camper is on land. Yeah, wouldn't it be fun to live in a camper? I think it would be fun. You know, you can get some that have stoves and refrigerators and microwaves and beds, and some even have bathrooms with showers and toilets, and you could just live right in them. I would love to have a camper and travel around the country. It would be a great way to see the country, go from state to state with your camper. And at night you could sit around the campfire and roast marshmallows and make s'mores. And similar to campers are mobile homes or trailers. They're not quite as easy to move. You can move them with a big truck, but they're more permanent than campers. And they have like trailer parks that's got lots of trailers in it. And those are like little communities where, you know, people can get together and you'd have lots of friends to hang out and play with. All right, tents. I wouldn't want to live in a tent when you live up north. It would be mighty cold in the winter, huh? Some people, when they live in tents, they're considered homeless people. But, you know, sometimes they put all their tents together and they call them tent cities. But some people actually do live in tents, you know, like Indians or Native American, indigenous people, whatever you want to call them. They lived in teepees and wigwams. And, you know, they made them actually quite comfortable in the wintertime, so they weren't cold. How about this one? A lighthouse. I have a little lighthouse here. Would you like to live in a lighthouse? That would be kind of fun, huh? Sit outside, sip tea, and enjoy the view. Because, of course, they're built near water because they have to warn the boats when the water's shallow or when there's rocks there or something. But now, here's the thing about living in a lighthouse that you need to know. Not all of them have indoor plumbing, which means you might have to use an outhouse. And you'd have to carry your water in, and you wouldn't be able to take a shower or a bath. No. Some of them have generators, but that means limited lighting and probably no TV. No, and no Wi-Fi. So there's some things about living in a lighthouse that you might not like. Now, here's another thing. The light flashes every 15 seconds. So it'd be like lightning flashing all night long. And if it gets foggy, the foghorn's gonna be sounding too. So it might be a little bit difficult to sleep in a lighthouse, but I think lighthouses are really cool. There's actually only one in the United States that's still manned. That means that there's somebody there all the time, and that's the Boston Light in Boston Harbor. And the rest of them are automated, which means automatic. The light works by itself, and they don't need to have a person there to man it. All right, so I think that that pretty much covers it. No matter where you live, it's important to appreciate your home because your home is the place where you belong. It's where your toys are, your bed, your bedroom, your blankets, your family, your brothers and sisters, and that's where you belong, right? So home is a very special place. So why don't we move on to Move and Groove? And I have a cool song about a lighthouse. So let's sing our song and get up and move and groove with me. And remember, when you move and groove, it makes your heart happy. So hop up off that couch and let's do our song together about the lighthouse. We're gonna do some swimming in this one since lighthouses are near water. All right. Oh, here we go. Okay, are you ready?
In my wrestling, in my doubts, in my failures, you won't walk out. Your great love will lead me through. You are the peace in my troubled sea. Oh, you are the peace in my troubled sea. My lighthouse, shining in the darkness, I will follow you. My lighthouse, I will trust the promise. You will carry me safe to shore, safe to shore, safe to shore, safe to shore. I won't fear what tomorrow brings. With each morning I'll rise and sing. My God's love will lead me through. You are the peace in my troubled sea. Oh, you are the peace in my troubled sea. My lighthouse, shining in the darkness, I will follow you. My lighthouse, I will trust the promise. You will carry me safe to shore, safe to shore, safe to shore, safe to shore. My lighthouse, shining in the darkness, I will follow you. My lighthouse, I will trust the promise. You will carry me safe to shore, safe to shore, safe to shore, safe to shore.
All right. How did you do? Did you do okay with that song? Did you do your swimming? Yeah, because we want to be able to swim, right? It's very important to know how to swim so we'll be safe. All right, so let's check our bee basket and see what we have. So remember that our bee basket, those are the things we want to be. All right, the things we want to be. So let's see what we have here today. Oh, look at this. We have be neat. Oh, I think that's a very good one. I think it's important to be neat. We're talking about having your own space, and remember Ben in our story, he had his own space and he wanted to keep it nice and neat. I have a quick story here. Let me read this one to you. My Messy Room by Mary Packard. And this is a girl. I like my room messy. It's my room, so there. Ooh, she's kind of sassy, huh? I like paint on my table. I like socks on my chair. I like books on my bed. I like toys on my floor. I like shirts on my dresser. I like shoes in my drawer. I like my room messy. I like it a lot. I like it. I like it. But Mommy does not. Oh, her mother does not like her messy room. Does your mother like your room to be messy? Oh, I bet she does not. You know what we could do to help this girl, I was thinking about this. We could make a neat chart, you know, and even if she only did one of these things a day, it would help keep her room neat. Like one day she could clean off the table and check that off, and one day she could match all her socks and check that off, and one day she could stack her books up and check that off, and then one day put her toys away and check that off, and then fold her clothes one day and put her clothes away and organize her shoes. You know, that would make her room a much neater place, wouldn't it? And then when she wanted socks that match, she could find them. And when she wanted shoes, she could find shoes that match. Or when she wanted clothes that weren't all wrinkled up and messy, then she would have all clothes folded up in her bureau, nice and neat. She could find her toys. That would be a very good idea for her, wouldn't it, to keep her room nice and neat? I like to have charts and checklists. I find that I can get things done much better when I have something that I can check off. It makes me feel like I've accomplished something. I still make lists. I call them my to-do list, and I write down everything I have to do, and when I get it done, then I can cross it off, and that way I feel like I'm accomplishing something. So I think, you know, if she had a neat chart, it would help her to clean her room up and keep her room nice and clean and neat. I think that is just such a good idea. It's important to have your own space, but I think it's also important to keep your space nice and neat. It's very hard to find things when your room is all messy and unorganized, don't you think? Oh, so my goodness, we've talked about a lot today. We talked about the pros and cons of having brothers and sisters, right? There's good things where you can play games with them, and they can help keep you entertained, and they go places with you, and they're there at night so you're not alone in the dark. And of course there are cons. They will get into your stuff, and they might think your stuff is better than theirs. And of course there always is that jealousy thing. But remember, I told you, you don't need to be jealous of your brothers and sisters, right? Because mom and dad work hard for you too. And then remember all the different places we have that we call home. You might live in a house, you might live in the city, in an apartment, you might live on a boat. I don't think many of us live in igloos. You might live in a camper or a trailer, and I don't think many of us probably live in tents either, and I'm sure none of us live in lighthouses, no, but you know, home is just such a special place, a place that, oh, here, I have some sayings that will help us with what is so special about home. This one says, home is where you hang your hat. Do you know what that means? That means the place where you're comfortable. It means where you can take your dress-up clothes off and put your jammies on and sit back and relax and just be yourself. So home is where you hang your hat. This one says, home is where the heart is. Do you know what that means? That means it's where the people you love are. Your mom, your dad, your brothers, your sisters, the people that make you happy, and the people that make you feel like you belong, right? When you're part of a family, you feel like you belong. So home gives you a sense of belonging. It's where your bed is, your bedroom, your toys, your blankets, your pillow. Yeah, it's, you know what? Home is the place you can't wait to get back to on a cold winter day. You ever had that? On a cold winter day, you just want to get home so you can be comfortable. So home is where the heart is. I really like that one. And then I like this one too. This one says, be it ever so humble, there's no place like home. I like that one. I have a humble home, but it's mine and it makes me happy. Did you ever see The Wizard of Oz? And Dorothy, she kept walking and walking and trying to find the City of Oz. And finally she found the City of Oz, and it was bright and beautiful and magical and special. But what did she want? She wanted to go home, didn't she? And remember, she kept clicking her heels together saying, there's no place like home, there's no place like home, there's no place like home. She just, even though Oz was a bright, beautiful place, she just wanted to go home to her little house and her family, right? So home is just such a special place. It's a wonderful place. It's a place where it's your comfort zone, a place where you belong. So aren't you glad you have a space of your own, a place you can call home? I sure am. I am so glad for my little home here, Grandma Kitty's house. So appreciate your space and your siblings that share it with you and your family, right? And try to make sure that you keep your space neat and tidy so you can find things when you want them, right? So you know what? I think that just about covers it for today. So you take care, you stay healthy, safe, and happy, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.